All right, guys, welcome to wouldn't call it the New School Canes this week because we're missing Anton. He's out of town, but it's me and the Wholesome One coming to you live from my channel, Wholesome One. By all means, introduce yourself.
Of course, man. It's the Holsum one, Holloway, representing the U family. Man, I gotta hold my phone with this hand. So I can't throw it up.
Hey, Wholesome One, man. First things first, man. What do you want to talk about first, man? I know we got a lot of things to cover. We're only 2 weeks away from fall camp. It's flying by. I'm not gonna lie. Before you know, it's gonna be week one, and then it's gonna be halfway done with the season, man. What do you first want to talk about? I know we got a lot of interesting topics to get to. Definitely want to hear your thoughts on some things I would love to talk about.
Oh man, number one, gotta give a shout out to Anton, man. He's on vacation, guys. So that's
Yeah,
why he is not here. So Mr. HD, who is currently in the chat, just wanted to let you know that that is the reason why. And not
absolutely.
necessarily saying we needed his blessing or anything, but out of respect for New School Canes, which includes all three of us, he was like, "Yeah, you guys go ahead and do a live
Yeah,
on Tuesday, no problem." So
absolutely.
of course, want to give you our brother is here right now. He's enjoying, northern Florida life, and hopefully he can be back there in August for the start
Absolutely. Absolutely.
the first game of the season. But I mean, we cannot continue without bringing up the simple fact of the U is back. Nah, no way, no way. The U isn't back, but the U is building again when it comes to recruiting. And dog, the recruits that we brought in now, the people that we are forcing decommits from, because I'm gonna say that the connection that we have with Isaiah Walker led to his decommitment at South Carolina. He still to this day has the profile picture of him and Butch Berry,
Yeah.
even when he was committed to South Carolina, as his profile picture on Twitter. So and that can go either way as far as people thinking, you might be feeding a little bit too much into recruiting because kids play games and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, man, Isaiah Walker and State of the U actually put out an article today, which I haven't got a chance to read yet, talking about our offensive line class could be one of the best, and where does it rank in recent Canes
Absolutely.
history. Um, Junior and the Big Dog. What's up, man? Y'all able to come in the chat, man? Thank you all so much for tuning
Yeah,
in, man.
definitely.
Manny
Probably.
Menendez, Joseph Holmes, Mr.
Yeah.
HD, of course, and Ian McAllister. Thank you all for being in the chat, man. Thank you.
Hey, by the way, shout out to Junior and Big Dog. They're doing tremendous things with their channel. I really like what they got going on. They're going to be very successful in the future. I guarantee you guys that. If you haven't subscribed to them yet, go ahead and do it. It's a very good and very informative Miami Hurricanes football channel on YouTube. And they're very supportive of us as well, and I greatly do appreciate that. But
Absolutely.
man, wanted to talk about Isaiah Walker a little bit, man, and what you mentioned with Jalen Rivers. I mean, we are really building up a nice offensive line. We have Chris Washington, Jalen Rivers, Isaiah Walker. I believe is his name Antonio Smith. I know he's kind of been under the
Yeah,
radar
yeah,
lately.
Smith.
3-4
Antonio
guy.
Smith.
But man, we bring in Jonathan Dennis, Isaiah Walker. Those are five great offensive linemen. I mean, that not only can provide depth year one, but people are saying this is our weakest position, our weakest unit on the offense. But moving forward, this could be our strongest in the near future. I'm really liking what's going on, not only with recruiting, but how Butch Berry is developing this offensive line, and the players are responding well to Butch Berry. There's a high level of respect in the position room for Butch Berry, and I really like what he's doing. He's very intense, and a lot of players do respect him. So I really do like what he's doing there.
Oh yeah, and the biggest thing is if you can men that want to get to that next level, they want to have coaches at that college level, just like in high school. High schools love to hire college coaches because they can help bridge the gap in between where the kids are right now and
Yes,
where they want to be. So
Absolutely.
especially at offensive line, it's one of those positions just like quarterback to where it takes a while at the next level for guys to really, except for Quentin Nelson, a Hall of Fame guard. He just walked right into the NFL and he's balling
Yeah.
like no tomorrow. Bryant McKinney just walks into the NFL at 6'8", 304 and just balling. But for the most part, there's a developmental stage. And if you can start that developmental stage in college, it makes things a lot more simpler when you get into the NFL. Bringing down an NFL coach, and it wasn't just a guy who just had a cup of coffee in the NFL or made cups of coffee in the NFL. Shout out to you, John Rick. But this man was there for 5 years as an assistant coach, an offensive line coach in the National Football League. That speaks dividends. And guess what? He isn't scared to recruit. He isn't scared to sport this you. He isn't scared to be on Twitter and voice his opinion of being able to have been at the top level, the pinnacle of football, and coached it, and to come down to college and have that energy about coaching college football again. Um, Isaiah Walker is a must get. It's just that simple.
Yeah.
It's
And
just that he is a must get. Um, you about to say something?
I think he's coming to Miami. I really do. Kane's inside stuff on Adams, who's very informative with recruiting, has close sources that he has, and really when he predicts something, he's usually on the money at times. He has Isaiah Walker committing to Miami. I think we're the reason why he decommitted to South Carolina. I would be shocked if he ends up at another school. Honestly, I think he's a Miami Hurricane. I really do. I'd be in shock if he doesn't pick Miami at this point.
And it's funny that you say that because the last recruit that you said that about signed or committed with the University of Miami, and I personally say signed and
True.
committed with because the guys under Manny, for some reason, dog, it's a different feel. We still get a couple decommits, but for us to bounce back the way that we have,
Yeah,
losing a Donnell Harris and then signing three other four-star guys within a week
absolutely.
of him decommitting, that's the type of stuff you talk about a coach being able to say, okay, this was your chance. You missed it. Don't come back later. Don't come back.
Absolutely. Yeah, no. And speaking of decommitments, I mean, I remember Brian Robinson. He goes to Florida State. Then weeks later, we pull out Michael Redding III, who it seems like from the opening, this kid's going to be a star. There's
Mm-hmm.
a coach at IMG that says, I want him on my NFL team. He would
Right.
draft him right now. That's how highly he thinks of him. And it truly is amazing. Everyone had Michael Redding going to Florida State. We lose a receiver to Florida State. He comes to Miami. It really is something interesting. People kind of give Coach Diaz, a lot of trouble, for him as a recruiter, but he does bounce back nicely after these decommits. Something Mark Richt did not do well at all.
Correct.
When we were losing like 4 straight games, it was last season when we were going downhill. I mean, people were decommitting left and right, and we did not have answers for it at all. We were
Right.
like, we're not taking another quarterback. It's something you have to be you have to like a lot as a fan, and you can tell the program is turning, and that's something I do like. And Dan Enos, man, he is aggressive with recruiting quarterbacks. He is very aggressive. It's nice to see that. It is nice to see that, and I'm excited. I think it's the new Miami.
And that's the thing, though. We have been doing lots of talks every year that comes in. Like I always say, we're the off-season warriors. You look at pen and paper. You look at NCAA back when that game was out. You read any article. Miami's always picked to win the Coastal. Miami's always picked to win at least 8 to 9 games per season. Um, and people, when they look at us on paper and know the athleticism of the University of Miami, they always get excited. But
Yeah,
we had to actually do it when it counted. You have to make the plays on the field when it matters the most, when it counts the most. There's one thing to be Green Tree Practice Field Warriors, and there was another thing to be Orange Bowl Boys. Shout
yeah,
out to them. You get out on the field and you make the plays that matter. Now, Manny Diaz has taken that approach to everything that he does. He has seen how it was done wrong as far as giving offers to guys who are 2 or 3 years down the line. You know, if Mark Rick was here, we probably would have had 2022 guys committed already. Like, and then we all get mad when they decommit and want to just enjoy their junior and senior year. Well,
Right.
don't take their commitment that early in the first place. When you know for a fact the big three are going to come out of nowhere and snatch the guy, or the big three are going to come and say you can go to Miami and be a good player on a so-so team, or you can come here and be a good player on a great team. So Manny has to change the ways of winning. Um, and he understands that he wants Miami guys. And I'm one of those people that had to learn it doesn't have to mean that they're from the Tri County area. They don't have to be from Miami Dade, Broward, or Palm Beach to be
Right.
Miami guys. Because some of these guys from Georgia, they some dogs too that want to come down
Oh
and
yeah,
ball for us.
absolutely, absolutely.
You know, and a
Yeah, we
couple of those
want.
guys we'll get to tonight, and some guys from Texas
Yeah,
that committed. They want to come and buy into the new Miami. And I'll tell you this right now, and I'll stand on it. If the kids in Dade County don't want to be a part of the new Miami, while we're building right now, they're gonna definitely want to be a part of it moving into the 2020s. I promise
absolutely.
you that much because we have to become good to great again while these young men, because recruiting starts way back in middle school, man. Who was balling when you were in seventh and eighth grade? Who continues to be balling when you're a freshman and sophomore? And who's on top when you're a senior and it's time to put pen to paper? That's how you want to keep that thing going. So it's really like a 6 year uh, build up to when that young man puts pen to paper. And a lot of things happen in between that time. The money bag comes, the first round draft picks stack up, the first team all conference, the first team all American team stack up, and things. And when guys can go back and, you used to be able to tell stories that wasn't on video. You can't do that type of stuff nowadays. I can Google almost anything I want right now and it'll pop right up. You
Yeah,
got to have evidence of greatness being built at the U if you
right.
want to start reaching. Because I personally think come 2023, 2024, Miami needs to be ranked in the top five year in and year out from that
Yeah,
point forward.
absolutely, absolutely. And Coach Diaz has to take advantage of the momentum he has right now
Correct.
because Willie Taggart, he was killing it in recruiting. His first year, everybody was buying into the momentum, and then Virginia Tech came, it all died down. And then the end of the year came 5-7. Florida State, Willie Taggart, it's not the same. Now there's a lot of pressure. Year two, so Coach Diaz has to take care of the momentum. He has to take care of week one against Florida. It's a tough task, but I guarantee you, if he wins in Orlando, that's going to be a huge statement with recruiting, especially the 2021 class. Those
Correct.
guys as well. Those kids, I think that's a very important recruiting class. I know it's so far away, but Paradise Camp can only do so much. It did leave a big impression. And James Williams, 6'5" safety, the kid's he's amazing. He literally, he's like a walking NFL player. I've never seen anything like it. Coach Diaz. I cannot stress enough. He has to take care of year one's momentum. Finish with a top 10 recruiting class, I'd say, just to carry it over, and 10 wins. I think 10 wins is a good season. 10-2.
Now that's a whole different conversation. If you really want to spark that up, we could do that. What would be a nice first season for Manny Diaz? I know a
Okay.
lot of other channels have done that,
Right.
and even on Twitter they've started that conversation. But in my studies of first year head coaches and my knowledge of this is different. Just like we agreed on last week, this is more of a Lincoln Riley taking over Oklahoma than it is a a Nick Saban taking over Bama first year,
Right.
or
Right.
it is a Kirby Smart taking over Georgia first year. It's different, and not saying either one of those two things the cupboard was bare, but to have a guy, I'm gonna break it down. Thank you, Junior and the Big Dog. Great comparison. I gotta take partial credit for that because me and Paul agreed when we were on the phone and on live that it was a great connection, great comparison. But it's eerily similar. It's almost 100% on the head. A coach who was in the program saw some things done right, saw some things done wrong, and when the
Right.
old man had to retire, they hired from within, and now they're balling at Oklahoma. And the same thing could turn around and happen for the University of Miami. Manny Diaz saw things right, saw things wrong. The old man has retired, and I think our boys are going to be balling. Do I wish that it was a game maybe before Florida to give us a little, not a pity pat
Yeah.
game, but maybe a FAU or something to
Yeah.
where it was a quality opponent, but nothing too stiff, so that we could get all the wrinkles out and then come hit Florida in the head with a roundhouse kick. But at the same time, to catch the nation off guard. And Miami does so much better when we are disrespected, when we are counted out of a fight before it even starts. That's when we come out swinging like our life depends on it. Nobody gave us a chance in the Notre Dame game, and we came out swinging.
Absolutely.
Nobody saw 2017 happening because in 2016, even though we were 9-4 and we were building, they didn't see number
Right.
two in the country last
Right.
week of the regular season coming. And even when we would skip by those teams and then we would play a big time team, they were expecting us to lose to Virginia Tech too. And like I said, Notre Dame also. So, like I say, there's a lot of argument to say that maybe 9-4 is good enough for a first year. But I say with the horrible schedule, two games where the teams are similar as far as talent. And to me, you can only go 1-1. You can't go 0-2 in those games.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
if we're the new Miami, then the years of losing to Duke, Virginia, and North Carolina have to be behind us completely,
Yeah. Oh
if
yeah.
you ask me.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
and for as much as I've looked at this schedule, it's not as easy as some people think. As far as the easiest schedule in the country, um, but we got to start changing our mindsets about away
Yeah.
games.
Yeah.
There's
Oh
no
yeah.
way in the world that it's hard for Miami to play at Pitt because it's usually a daytime cold
Yeah.
game, but it's a lot easier to go play at Pitt than it is to go to the Plains and play at Auburn. So let's be grateful that we're in the ACC Coastal, and let's start treating the ACC Coastal as if it's the ACC Coastal. It's ours to take, it's ours to win, and let's start taking it and playing like it.
I'm still waiting for that game where we run up the score. Where we go into Chapel Hill week 2 and we win 56-0 and we're putting up touchdowns with like 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. That's what I want to see out of Coach Diaz. If week 2 we go into Chapel Hill and it's still like a kind of a dogfight, we have like a 2-touchdown lead and they're still in it. I don't want to see that kind of game when we play against away teams. I haven't seen that at Miami in a very long time. I can't remember the last time we played against an opponent in the ACC, a Pittsburgh, a Virginia Tech, North Carolina, in our division, and we ran up the score on them. I don't want to see Savannah State being blown out by 70. I want to see our division rivals being blown out by 50. That's what I want.
Exactly. Exactly. And I probably could point to Virginia Tech 2014, the Duke Johnson show, but even that was 28-7. You're talking
Yeah.
about like what we
Just
did to North Carolina this season being in Chapel Hill. When we
right.
have on white or when we have on white and orange, you want to see a blowout. You want to see the offense come out swinging and willing to put up 50, 60 points at any given game.
Yeah.
And to me, that might be wishful thinking for week 2. I know North Carolina is weak. I know North Carolina might be down, but we are going to get their A game. Number one, they
Yeah.
don't respect us. Number two, their best coach in school history is coming back. And number three, it's the at-home blackout game. So they're going to come out firing on all cylinders, ready to go toe to toe. And I think it'll be more of like a 17-3 halftime score, but I could
Okay.
see it ending to be more of like a 35-10 final score. But
Yeah.
they are going to hang around because we're going to get their A game.
Yeah.
We definitely
Absolutely.
are going to get there. They're going to try to come out and make a statement, especially after we upset Florida. They're gonna they're gonna come trying to swing for real.
Is it? I forgot what his name was. Phil Steele. Phil Steele, I believe. He's like a college football kind of like analyst. He has his opinion, and he said he has Miami going 11-1, 12-0, and he says Coach Enos is really going to be the difference maker Do you see the offense doing like a complete 180 from last year where we're like one of the best offense in the nation? Or are we going to be middle of the road where we put up points but we're not dominating enough, but it gets the job
Well, I had to get my signature cup when I'm on live. Gotta have my cup.
done?
But it is root beer, people. It's not nothing too wild. It's just root beer. Um, First of all, when you listen to Danny speak, it's like listening to a head coach that's just waiting on his opportunity to get that chance
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
He's going to come out firing. I can
Love
honestly
that.
see whoever's a starting quarterback maybe throwing a pick or two because Dan Enos is just going to want to try to cut their throat out. Like we might get a two touchdown lead and he's still going to come out a 5 wide spread
I hope so.
trying
Yeah,
to. We gonna have 300 yards passing by halftime. That's the type of Dan Enos I think we're going to get. He's going to want to prove that he is the reason why Miami is now a double digit win team. And
yeah,
hopefully we can get maybe year two, maybe year three out of him and see if he can keep it consistent and show, a pattern of growth to present to colleges to be a head coach. But if you ask me um, if Dan Enos is the answer and can be the difference, a part of me wants to say yes. Uh, but the other half of it is, as much as we want to talk about Danny Enos, the number one guy who wants to prove that the U is back and the U is going to play his way is Manny Diaz.
yeah,
He's going to want to prove to the nation that Mark Richt at 70 years old was the reason why Miami wasn't roundhousing people in the temple and knocking them out. And that's why I use the term temple. Because once he dropped that job and got his dream job, he's humbled by it, but he's seen how it should look. He's watched every single national championship game in the flesh. He was old enough to have seen that. But instead of having an old school mindset and saying, okay, this is how they used to do it, and this is exactly how we're going to do it, because we've seen that type of stuff doesn't work in 2019.
yeah,
You know, one thing that doesn't, you can't stop from working is continuous hard work and preparation. Those two things will never, no matter what you do, if it's studying film, if it's writing notes, if it's going to school, those two things you have in your heart, you will always be successful. But when it comes to sports, it's ever changing. It's something, and he has realized that from a 4-3 coach, switching to a 4-2-5, and now hiring a 4-2-5 specialist as his defensive coordinator, and then bringing in a someone who's going to run like a spread coast to where we might line up in too tight, or the huddle looks like it's in double tight, and we break the huddle with 2 3 tight ends and come out and spread on you because we have athletes that could be a hand in the dirt tight end, a H back tight end, and a slot tight end. So to
I
answer your
hope we see
question,
that kind of stuff. Like I
yes
hope
sir.
this isn't just talk, just to hype up things. I
Mm-hmm.
want to see that kind of creative offense that Dan Enos has been advertising the whole offseason. Because honestly, if I don't see anything that's out of ordinary, that's cutting edge, that Coach Diaz promoted, I'm going to be a little bit disappointed. You know, they've been hyping this thing up big time. Let's be real. He said I heard he throws out triple options. He runs that in his offense. Like I want to see that kind of stuff, and I think it'll be great with certain players on the field. But I'd be very disappointed if I don't see anything cutting edge from Coach Enos.
Yeah, yeah, and besides all of this hype that we're talking about, besides all the things that we're bringing up, everyone in the chat knows, and anybody who watches this later on once it posts, the number one thing that we are going to have to do is actually prove it on the football field.
Yeah,
There's one thing to be great motivational speakers. There's one thing to be great intellectual players. Shout out to Nkosi Perry with a 3.5 GPA. Thank you so much for showing us that you have 100% focus. You only follow one person on Twitter, my brother, and that's your offensive coordinator. You don't even follow
Yeah,
your head coach.
yeah,
On
that did.
Twitter.
Yeah, when I saw that, I knew something was changing in the program.
So
I
all the
honestly thought.
little right, all the little things we're starting to see. Okay, okay. We averaged a 3.2 as a team. All right. They're starting to use the sand pits again. Okay. That's a little bit of, the U part one and part two with Swayze. Okay. All our players are treading all that dead weight. Oh, okay, okay. We starting to see the progression. But the final thing we have to do is come training camp, it has to be done on the football field. We need to get through aggressive. We need to get through attacking both on offense and defense and special teams. But it needs to be safe so that everybody can make it through healthy to the off season.
Right.
To the actual season. Make it
Yeah.
through training camp healthy. But dog, the season doesn't end with August 24th. It starts with August 24th.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to see
Absolutely.
our best ball be the Florida game and then we're on a downhill spiral from there. I want to see, can the University of Miami actually be consistent for 12 games straight for once?
Yeah.
That's what I want to
And
see.
and also, let's be real. What do we do after we lose a game? Do we just hang our heads? Do we lose the locker room as a coaching staff? Or do our players respond and say, you know what? Last week, hey, we dropped the ball. All right. We didn't play up to the level of greatness we can play, which is what teams like Alabama, Ohio State, when they drop a game, like Clemson in the past, when they drop games to Pittsburgh or Syracuse, and the pressure's on, they win out. What Miami's done in the past, when they lose a game, they lose 3 straight. They lose 4 straight. That's been that happened under Al Golden under that 9-3 season. I forgot what year it was, 2013, 2014. Under
2013.
Coach Rick last year, and then towards the end of his second year, we lose the locker room. And our players are. What are we going to see this season after if we lose a game or we play an awful half? So that's what I'm looking forward to as well. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's going to be a very exciting season because there's a lot of things I'm looking forward to seeing. But I think it's going to be a special season as well. I really do believe that having those 3 linebackers, McLeod, Quarterman, and Pickney, they started their freshman year, and I think they're going to get rewarded with a great season on the field and at the end of the year when they win a bowl game or whatever, because of what they endured and went through their 4 years. I really do believe that pays off at the end. So I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Absolutely. I listen, man. Those trio of linebackers, I really only call it a twosome. I don't really call it a three unit, but whatever. Um, 2 of them have actually shown me something. Uh, and like I said, I want to see them take that next step. I want to see them take that Denzel Perryman, that Sean Spence, that Colin
Yeah,
McCarthy, that Ray Lewis might be a whole different level of
no, that's
step.
never. Yeah,
Dan Morgan might be on a whole different level. But even like a Jonathan Vilma, a John Beeson type thing, to where
yeah,
like the nation knows, hey, 55 and 56 might be the best tandem. These kids are flying and knocking helmets off. I want to be able to tune in the NFL Network, and I hate Good Morning America, but I would love for it to turn into Good Morning America, and they say the undefeated Miami Hurricane tandem linebackers might be the 2 best linebackers in the country in their mock draft at both late first round. That type of stuff is what I want to see. If we want to talk about being the new Miami, those are the type of things that need to happen.
Since we're talking about linebackers, what do you think about Patrick Joyner, man? I mean, Coach Diaz hasn't really gone after any graduate transfers in the transfer portal. I feel like that's a vote of confidence towards his veteran group. I think he believes that McLeod's going to step up the senior year. So do I. I think in conference games he's going to shine. I don't think he'll underperform in conference games. Maybe against Florida and Florida State, and hopefully you play Clemson, he won't shine. But I think against your division rivals, he will play well. But what do you think? Do you think Patrick Joyner makes that big step, transition to linebacker, and it pays off?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
100% yes. He's first of all, he's wearing the legendary 52, man. That man right there, if you got on 52, dog, you gotta
Yeah.
show up. And we saw when he went from putting his hand in the dirt the entire spring, and then a week before the spring game, and at the spring game, he still plays some defensive end. He goes to linebacker. It had 3 TFLs in the game. Now, it's a spring game. He knows the plays. They kept it vanilla. I get that. But if you can show up in a spring game, that means you have the talent and the awareness to do it in games also. And dog, with his size, 6'2.5", 6'3", 235, and I know high school film is one thing, but he is super aggressive. Like his hands, when he comes down and really like engages with blockers, and that's another thing we don't really do well, except for Shaq Quarterman. He be blowing up blockers. But as far as engaging with a blockers, being used to playing defensive line, defensive end, he's able to press them, get over, and go make a play instantly. And that type of stuff in this game, especially in a 4-2-5 blitz heavy defense that Blake Baker has, you got to be able to disengage and make plays like this, just that fast. And he has no choice. Bradley Jennings, baby monster, he's
Yeah.
most likely out with an ACL injury. Wayman Steed, someone who's fighting for first team reps with Michael Pickney as a redshirt sophomore, out with a torn ACL again. You got to turn to a guy like Avery Huff, his size and athleticism from St. Thomas Aquinas. But even then, DeAndre Wilder, you never know if he'll ever play again with a neck injury, a
Yeah.
neck contusion. So, I think he has no choice because it would be Pat Joyner, Sam Brooks, and Avery Huffs. Those are the 3 linebackers, 3 scholarship linebackers that's behind our starters right now. Everybody else is either on career-ending injuries or season-ending injuries at this point.
Now, speaking of Sam Brooks, seeing pictures of him, on campus, he's working out the team. He's already enrolled. He looks jacked. I mean, he looks like he's been playing college football for a couple years already. He doesn't look like a true freshman. Physically, he can line up with anyone, it seems like. Do you think who will make – I mean, not necessarily who will make the bigger impact, but, can we rely on these 2 freshmen to make an impact this season, or are they going to play like a freshman linebacker, kind of lost at times, or will they contribute? What do you think?
I believe that these linebackers will contribute. The great part about it is that every single one of these men we're talking about is there. Um, and I think Avery Huff might have been in the first summer session A group, which is amazing. If he's not summer session A, then I know he's definitely on campus right now. Sam Brooks was in summer session A. And the thing with him was he was 6'2", 205 coming off of an ACL injury. So now he lost a lot of weight from that surgery and now able to put on great muscle mass. And not Gus Felder muscle mass, but David Feely muscle mass,
Yeah.
which even guys like Romeo Finley, who to me looked great last year, they look quote unquote super skinny, but they are moving
Yeah.
at a high level. And that was another thing is we got to be able to still move in college football nowadays because you play the Florida States of the world who run a spread. You play the Floridas of the world who run a spread to a certain extent, but they at least have 3 wide at all times. So you have to be able to cover, hit, and open field tackle at every single level in college football. But Sam Brooks, a former edge rusher from the illustrious Miami Northwestern State High School down here in Dade County, going to the U, another guy we kept home. Hopefully, he gets a better opportunity than Mike Smith did because Mike Smith had the same story. He was one of the best edge rushers in Dade County history. And like he was amazing. Mike Smith was amazing in high school. He goes to the U. They move him to linebacker. He plays the same position as Shaq Quarterman. You can't really take him off the field. He fought for his opportunities, but he couldn't really do much. But Sam Brooks is he's going to contribute him and Pat Joyner. Avery Huff, coming from St. Thomas Aquinas, he's intelligent. They run a very, very similar defense to what we run, a 4-2-5, having a lot of athletes on the field. He kind of played that that safety, outside linebacker, even some edge rush ability when he was in high school. So he has a very high intellect coming from that St. Thomas Aquinas defense. And on the other side of things, Coach Manny Diaz has always said he wants a simple defense. So the playbook shouldn't be as hard. It will be more of, okay, well, we call this that, and we say this when this happens. When somebody motion, this is how we rock and roll, or this is how we slide, or this is how we move the defensive line so that we can line up properly. Those type of things, it just takes repetition for a linebacker to get used to doing that. But at the end of the day, dog, linebacker is about playing hard nose, running to the football, and leading men to one objective. And that's don't allow touchdowns and win football games. If you could do those three things, play physical, knock heads off, and lead men to get W's, you could play linebacker in college, and you could especially play linebacker at the University of Miami. Gotta add, make play, be a playmaker and make game changing plays. Those type of things happen when you can do those other three things at a high level, like Mike Pinkney.
Halfway done with the show. I'm not seeing the chat visible from my end. Well, someone has it up. Is there any questions anyone asked that we can address, talk about, have a discussion about? We are halfway done with the show. Don't want to miss out on anyone's comments. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot to us.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of questions in here, a lot of statements. I've seen a lot of names come through, man. Beautiful to have Junior and the Big Dog still in, toe for toe with us. D Rev Lee in here, the always controversial
Lee.
D Rev Lee in
Oh
here.
man, hey man, no love on Kane's Inside Force. It's all good. It's all good.
Oh.
Hey,
Stacy
man.
Hall.
The real D-Rev.
Yeah. Stacy Hall is in here. Jason Sumner is in here. Joseph Holmes, always showing love on my channel and other people's channels, is in here also. Um, Unknown Faith is here, and they have some questions. Anyone hearing anything on our special teams, especially our punter?
Man, that's
Love
a
you too, Junior,
question
the Big
that
Dog.
I don't think we're gonna know how good our punting is until like a couple games go in where we're just confident with our punter, and our special teams as a whole. Because I have no idea if Lou Headley is gonna be the guy. I really don't. We just know that he looks cool. He looks like a football player with a bunch of tattoos and looks mean. Bubba Baxa, he missed a couple field goals during the spring games that were like 20 yards. It wasn't like the hardest thing in the world, like a 50-yard field goal. So I have no idea, man. I really don't. I hope it can be better than last season. I don't think it can get worse than last season. So that is a positive sign.
No, we used to really have like 20-yard punts. And
Yeah.
see, that's another thing that used to get me though. We used to look like, you watch any of the college football team, they sign the number one punter, he goes out there and balls with no problem. We couldn't even punt the football as a program. Lord Jesus. But those things are behind us. Hadley looks good to me. Uh, Hadley looks really good. He's had some like workout videos. He's been on campus for almost a month and a half. Um, he looks excited. I've seen him in the weightlifting gigs and things of that nature. So he's been doing his thing. Uh, Punting special teams is one of those things. See, me and Paul had a conversation. I want to bring you all into this conversation. Um, what would be the two things that you believe has to happen, excluding quarterback and obviously excluding offensive line? I know how y'all get. Those two things, excluding quarterback and offensive line, what are the two things that you would think has to be elite or great or do a complete 180 in order for us to uh, to have a great season, that 11-1, that high competition rate, and even toe to toe with Clemson in the bowl game. Um, my two things was number one for me was great special teams. And what I mean by great special teams, we need to block at least three punts this year. And I don't
Yeah.
want to see the blocks. against Central Michigan, Savannah State, and FIU. Block punt against Florida State. Block punt against Florida. Block punt against UNC. A block of field goal versus Virginia Tech. Uh, take a punt return back against
Yeah.
Virginia.
Kickoff
Those
return.
type of things.
It's been a
Kickoff
while.
return touchdown. We haven't. I don't remember the last time we had a kickoff return touchdown.
Yeah.
I
Neither
remember
do
us
I.
having a lot of punt return touchdowns.
Yeah.
But special teams is huge, and it's not just about being on the offensive of those things. Force a fumble on kickoff coverage,
Yeah.
strip a ball on punt coverage, successfully block for 2.5 seconds so that a field goal kicker can get the kick off.
Yeah.
Successfully block so that our extra point kicker can get the ball off and put it in the goal. Those type of things we have to see. Successful blocking on kick return to where we're not, we might have a correct back and might be I hear, but is it flags being thrown for these blocks? Would you choose to try to be a part of a highlight tape, or do you choose to run and put your hands up and just get in front of the man so that you don't get the penalty?
Right.
Or even do a basketball style, set a pick and fall with the man. They can't call holding in. They can't call holding in. Those type of things you have to want. For me, I say have to happen for us to be elite. And my second thing is all conference and all American play at the linebacker position.
Okay.
Now, hear me out, y'all. What I mean by that is Shaq Quarterman. I need a Denzel Perryman 2014 type season out of you. I need 150 total tackles, with majority of those being solo. I need at least 2 interceptions. I need at least 3 to 4 forced fumbles. I need more than 2.5 sacks.
Pick six.
A pick six.
Yeah.
Mike Pinkney, I need a Sean Spence type season. So when you're playing like your hair is on fire and the end of the world is about to happen.
Yeah.
TFL, sacks, interceptions, pick six, forced fumbles, scooping scores. And for me, what I mean by saying that is they are both on the first team All ACC and they're both on the second team All American list for linebackers. Those are my two things. If the University of Miami want to be elite in 2019, excluding great quarterback play or good play calling by Dan Enos to help out the quarterback play, and
Yeah.
great coaching by Butch Berry on the offensive line, I want to see elite and great special teams in every facet. And I want to see our two linebackers show the nation that they are the two best linebackers going into the 2020 draft this upcoming season by making nationally renowned games. Denzel Perryman was on ESPN for getting a flag for doing push-ups because he
Right.
dropped the pick. But what did he do on the very next play? He made the game-sealing interception versus Duke.
Yeah.
Sean Spence, he was on ESPN for his play versus Tim Tebow in 2008 as a true freshman when he spied him and had 2 sacks and 8 tackles at 18 years old in a big time game. Those are the type of things that I want to see out of those two guys. For us to be elite this season.
Well, two things I want to see, and those were very good points. And I don't want to repeat the things you said. Two things. This is the very basic one, but I firmly believe is that Alonzo Heisman said it best. Quarterback culture has to change. We have to get to that kind of Lincoln Riley mentality where every year we have a Heisman winning quarterback. We don't have to win the Heisman, but at least be elite. Be one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. Because if Jalen Hurts doesn't get the job done this season, next season they got Spencer Rattler, who was the top high school recruit coming in. That's the kind of things I want to see out of Miami in the near future, and I think we're slowly getting there with Coach Enos. And the other thing is the X factor at receiver. I remember the last X factor we had at receiver, in a sense, was Leonard Hankerson. I thought Amon Richards would be that guy, but unfortunately he got injured and he wasn't able to do that. But I'm trying to look for who's the next guy where we can give it to 3rd and 3, 4th and 3, where everyone knows the ball's going to him and they still can't stop him. That's who I'm looking for. I don't know if it's going to be Jeff Thomas. I don't know if it's going to be KJ Osborne. Maybe it's Jeremiah Payton in a couple of years. We'll see. But I'm looking for that one guy to take over the wide receiver room. Because right now, and in the past years, we've had a bunch of just role players. We haven't had one guy take that next step. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Oh, so your first one was quarterback play.
Quarterbacks, changing the quarterback room. Just rebuilding and reloading. Not having that drop off. Like a Malik Rozier should have never started at Miami. Let's be real. He should have never even been offered. Neither Jack Allison, Rozier, Evan Sheriff, those guys aren't Miami offers. Cade Weldon, that's just wasting spots for other guys we could have gotten on, So that's the way I see it. You look at all the quarterbacks Miami's gone in the past. Quentin Flowers, Lamar Jackson, Geno Smith. I mean, dude, I just named 3 starting college football quarterbacks. 2 of them are in the NFL. Those are just some off the top of my head. Jacoby Brissett, we didn't even offer him. Need to go to Dillard or Dwyer? One of the 2.
Yeah, he went to Dwyer.
Yeah.
As you know, on my channel, I do a lot of old school vibe. With last 10 years, top 10 this, top 10 that. And I even have a video that I released later on recruits that we have missed. And it hurt to do the research and look at it and even go through some of these lists and to see we didn't even offer Isaiah McKenzie that went to Georgia and had a great career as a punt and kick returner. We didn't even offer him because he was 5'8". Especially the guys from the 2018 class that as good as it was, it could have been on a whole different level, pull in the Fearsome Foursome from American Heritage. But, not to dwell on the past and kind of still think forward with things. At the end of the day, the guys who are on this roster right now, we're going to go and fight with them. But that doesn't mean that we can't bring in people to the program that can fight for the program and help build competition while we are here, while they're there. So those type of things I want us to focus in on and really hone our psyche into is, we lost some guys. Some people aren't here that we thought should have been here. But the men on this roster, the talent that we have on this roster is definitely ACC Coastal champ worthy and definitely 11 win the next 2 years worthy.
Yeah. No, I think if this offense plays to their potential and, can grasp this offense and it clicks, I think the sky's the limit, man. I really do. Look at our wide receiver room. I mean, Ryan Hightower, Mark Pope, Jeff Thomas, KJ Osborne, D. Wiggins. Those are 5 guys who have potential to play in the NFL if they develop properly. I think they can make an NFL team. Jeremiah Payton. I keep forgetting guys because there's so many. That's a good point, And we'll see. I do think offensive line is the secret to the formula for our offense clicking. How do you hide, by the way, a bad offensive line? Can you explain to me? Because I think you don't.
You speaking my knowledge now, offensive and defensive line. But first, before I answer that, I want to answer Anthony's question because he's asked 8 of them. He asked me, what's my college comparison for Tyler Van Dyke? He said his is Justin Herbert. I don't know about that one.
No.
I would more go Will Grier as far as
Will Grier.
Yeah, maybe not the greatest arm, but and then you also have to think Will Grier played in a spread system, so people look better.
Yeah.
Because if you sit and watch Stephen Morris's highlights under James Coley, you'll think he was one of the greatest quarterbacks to come through here. Because when you play in a spread, you're able to pick up on mismatches a lot easier. And if Brad Kaya could have played with James Coley for 3 whole seasons, Brad Kaya would be in the NFL. So, just because I say Will Grier doesn't mean, Tyler Van Dyke is going to come and throw for 500 yards.
Yeah.
That's not 500 yards a game. That's not what I'm saying. But to answer your question about being able to coach around a bad offensive line, the number one thing that has to happen if you have a bad offensive line is not only quick passes, like Stacey Hall said. Um, you have to have a great tight end core, like we already do, and you have to be able to have put your athletes in space. So the quick game, being able to do screens, being able to do ace jets, being able to do rollouts, um, things of that nature have to happen if you
Right.
have a subpar offensive line.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you have to mix in that run game. And I know people get annoyed when Mark Richt ran Travis Homer up the middle every 5 days. Um, but you gotta be quick game. You have to spread them out to the point where you can pick on a 5-man box to where you have 5 on 5 or really 6 on 5 if you include offensive line and the running back against 4 down linemen and just one linebacker. You kind of have to go because we shouldn't think about it. The Pac-12 don't have great offensive linemen. They
No.
never go highly in the draft, or not too high. You don't see a first overall lineman from the Pac-12. Why? Because they all play spread teams. They spread you out, they run up the middle, and you put the ball all over the yard. You might be attacking the hashes one half. You might be attacking the numbers one time. And then you turn around and spread them out. Now you run right up the middle and get a 15-yard gain. Then you might turn back under that and get a 7-yard gain. And then come back, spread it open again. Now you go start attacking deep, or you attack cover two right over the linebackers. Those type of things you do to mix it up. And Jason Summer brought up something. Do not forget motion. That's one of the big things you can do as an OC to coach around a subpar or lackluster or inexperienced. Don't forget that. Just because
Yeah.
our young men may not be, to your mind, they may not be great. Look at the star system. All our projected starters, except for Zion Nelson, are 4-star recruits. So they're talented. They just haven't been developed just yet. And
Okay.
they just are inexperienced.
Yeah.
So, you know, would I love to turn around and see the 2013 offensive line walk through the door or the 2014 offensive line where every single one of them are in the NFL? Of course I would love that.
Yeah.
But you have to rebuild it. We can't keep talking about John Feliciano, Brandon Linder, um, Eric Flowers and Central Henderson with Casey McDermott's older brother Shane McDermott. You can't keep talking about them. You have to do what great teams do, and that's bring in better offensive linemen year in and year out to where you can have the conversation about is this offensive line better than that year's offensive line? Oh, well, the next year they brought in even better offensive linemen. That's what you want to be able to do. And if you can't recruit offensive line at a high level, and like I always say, you got to have one or the other. You either have, you know, 3 stars, couple 4 stars, 2-star guys with elite coaches that have great development ability, or you want to have, 4 or 5-star guys on the football field with subpar coaches and they just let them go out there and play football.
Right.
Those are mainly the two things that happen. Al Golden was the latter. He had a whole bunch of talent on the team, held them back on defense, but let them run wild on offense, and you saw why it was so much better. And Mark Richt, he didn't really have the developmental guys on offense, but on defense, we didn't have the stars that we used to have under Shannon and Golden, but we had the development, and you see what happens on that side of the ball. So hopefully Dan Enos and Blake Baker and Manny Diaz can really turn that corner of having great talent mixed with great player development. And once you put those things together, you start having the conversation of being a part of the top five again with Oklahoma, Georgia, uh, Bama, and Clemson, and having number 5 be Miami.
Anything worth discussing, arguing about maybe in the comment section? We got 5 minutes left. Don't want to miss out
Uh,
on anything.
D. Rev Lee, he kind of wants an explanation on your statement earlier. I don't know if you want to answer
Oh,
that.
it's all just fun teasing, man. It's all good, D.
Okay. Okay,
But we
D.
do
Rev
we
Lee.
do read Kane's insight. We do read Kane's insight. That's all I'm saying. We do read.
Uh, hey
We
man,
do read Kane's
D
inside.
Rev Lee, we love you, dog. Much appreciated to you. Um, and maybe if I were to shine some light on what he's saying, is there was a post about someone asking about suggested podcasts and YouTube channels, and you didn't put us on there as New School Canes. So that's what he's talking about. Um, but
We're
at
just
the end
trying to
of the
build
day,
our fan base more.
yeah, we are trying to build our fan base, but at the end
Yeah.
of the day, you still showed up today to this live, so
Drew,
that means you
you
do
did show
value
up.
us.
You
Yeah,
did.
you do
You did.
value us. You do value Paul, Miami Hurricanes Talk. I know you subbed on my channel, and you value my channel also. So we're not tripping, boss. It was just, a simple joke about, not being brought up on that list. So we gonna keep doing our thing. We gonna stay in our lane, but just wanted to clarify that with you. Um, Junior and the Big Dog have put a lot of statements in here. Um, Junior and the Big Dog said, I still want Isaiah Walker badly, but what do you guys think about Rivers at left tackle? I think he could do very well there. And Butch Berry said he could be a great left tackle, but many people say right tackle only. He's talking about Austin. It's Austin Rivers. Lord Jesus, I'm getting old. Rivers, the offensive lineman that's already committed to us. I think he would be a great left tackle also, but I think that's Isaiah Walker's position.
Yeah,
You
I do
know,
too. Yeah, I agree.
but
Especially if we're recruiting for left tackle.
right, because what is he, 6'6", 331? All you got to do is shed him a little bit. I think he'll be great. Some people disagree with me when I said he needs to lose a little bit of weight. Um, because at 331, he's not built like a traditional quote unquote fat boy. He's not built horrible at all. But when you get to the collegiate level, because as a Bama is my second team. People didn't know, but Alabama's starting offensive lineman average 285 to 290. The
Wow,
only
that's pretty light.
320-pound lineman they have is a freshman offensive guard. You know, so just because you have your weight, the number is one thing, but your body fat percentage is another. That's what we're talking about. And when I say he needs to bring the weight down a little bit, kind of shed that fat and build the muscle, that's what I mean as far as getting your body mass index and getting your body fat percentage down. Because it's one thing to be 6'6", 307 with 5% body fat than it is to be 6'6", 331 with 18 to 20% body fat at left tackle, which requires athleticism to be moving backwards at the same speed as somebody moving forward.
Right,
So
right.
keep that in mind. Anthony has another question. Holsum, do you agree with this? I'd rather us pass to the run game. Oh, he's saying I'd rather use pass. Oh, so he said he wants to spread teams out to set up the run. So pass to set up the run.
I think we'll do better. I think we'll do better if we don't go to spread. Honestly, with our run game.
Really?
Yeah, I think so too.
So you
I
think we
do.
would do better if we're not in a spread?
Specifically, Cameron Harris. Yeah.
So you want us to be in a spread or not? I'm
No,
confused.
I'd say go from the I formation, and Cam Harris is going to have a huge year.
But if you go I formation, that requires a fullback, a running back, a tight
Yeah,
end,
really,
and
George.
only two wide receivers on the field.
No, you do triple set.
But then you
You go
take the
two
tight
tight
end
ends.
off the field. Hello.
Hmm. Hmm. I think we got to utilize our tight ends, man. Pitch and catch.
Exactly. So you must mean like spread ace, because ace means double tight with two wide receivers and a one back, and then maybe moving the tight end to slot. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay, so
Exactly.
you're talking about a
Or get
spread
to yeah,
ace.
yeah,
Yeah, you're talking
right.
about 11
Will
personnel.
Mallory on this? Yeah,
The single back 11 personnel. You got
yeah,
to remember, you talking to a man who,
yeah, yeah.
film, talk about 22 personnel, 12 personnel. Host will know what he talk about. Anyway, uh, um, I think the spread worked wonders. dog, to see N'Kosi Perry in the spread versus Pitt, spread versus Virginia Tech, and see us putting up numbers, and we still ran for over 100 yards. Come on now, that's just me.
But
But I trust Dan Enos. Dan
but
Enos
if you
said,
look at Coach Eno, if you look at Coach Eno's offense, there were a lot of games where he didn't run spread in the past with Arkansas.
right, okay, so let me ask you, because technically spread means uh empty back.
Right? Yeah, yeah.
So maybe you're trying to talk more of a spread system, four wide, well, three wide, so trips, but a tight end on the field and a running back in the backfield. So 11 personnel with three wide is what you're explaining. Is that what you're saying, Paul? Hello?
Right. Yeah. Because spread, you don't have a running back if you're going empty.
No, 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 no. Empty and spread don't always have to mean the same thing. The term spread means that there's the distance between the offensive line, and the nearest receivable player. That's what
Okay.
the term spread means. So that means that the left tackle it's about a 10-yard difference between the left tackle and the wide receiver. And there's
Okay.
about a 7, 8 yard distance between the right tackle and the next wide receiver, meaning the slot or the offline tight end.
Nice.
That's what the term spread means. So it doesn't mean that it has to be five wide, no back. That's
Okay.
not in the football science term. Spread doesn't mean that. And then that's when people get that mix of a spread coast or empty sets. You get kind of, because spread is a vague term. It's like
Right.
saying 4-3 defense. Like that could be 4-3 over, 4-3 under, 4-3 attack, 4-3 zone, 4-3 man. You get what I'm saying? Like it's more things that you can say in that term. So people when I say spread, to most people, they just mean spreading the ball around, and we got more receivers on the field than we do fat boys, tight ends, and offensive linemen, no fullback. And honestly, I feel bad for our fullback, because I don't know if he'll be able to really get on the field much this year.
Unless
Um,
it's injury plagued, then just throw him in at running back, literally.
I thought me running back, or if we're doing
Goal
those
line.
H backs, those H back situations, to where instead of an inline tight end, they're a step right behind the offensive line, and he's able to motion across or counter up under and get under the
Yeah.
nose of a player. Those type of things, I mean. But to me, you cannot go and say I want to run an I formation and then say we have a subpar, inexperienced offensive line,
Right.
because that makes the distance from the defensive line a lot closer to the quarterback if you do it that way, because he's under center. So if I swim right over this guard right now, the quarterback is right there. You get what I'm saying? So that's why
Yeah.
most teams, if they have a subpar O line, they put them in spread and still even do a 2 or 3 step drop, to where it's like 8 to 9 yards between the defensive lineman and the, or a blitzer in the quarterback.
I
So
hear you.
last thing I'll say before we end out the show, Junior and the Big Dog said, I want us in a 12 personnel, a bunch like Enos did with Hunter Henry and Jeremiah Sprinkle in Arkansas. And he also said that he wants to see Brevin Jordan and Will Mallory play on the field a lot. So he wants to see now 12 personnel. Teach you a little football here, Paul. So the first number is how many backs are on the field. The second number is how many tight ends are on the field. So 12 personnel means one back, two tight ends. So if I say that, then what does 21 personnel mean?
There's two backs, one tight end.
There you go. There you go, Paul. And for people who are watching, so if you hear those terms like 21, 22, 12, 11, the first number is how many running backs on the field, or backs, could be fullback or running back. And the second number is how many tight ends on the field. Just a quick
Yeah.
statement for everybody.
There's no reason why we should have two running backs on the field this whole season at all. You need to give everyone their time to breathe. You need DJ Dallas when he's on the sidelines, he's resting. Then Cameron Harris is in, doing his thing. Then Lorenzo Link. It needs to be a constant rotation, I feel like, or give it to the hot hand. You know?
I feel that, but I also think a great thing to do would be able to have you know, I'm gonna Kosi Perry through and through, but like I told you before, man, a Tate Martell split spread would be beautiful.
Oh man, Miami
Tate,
Martell.
Tate
Oh man,
Martell with
Miami
with
Martell.
with Cam Harris next to him and Lorenzo Lingard or DJ Dallas next to him, and the way
Yeah,
they do a little triple option, that would be, that would be nice to see. And D-Rab
yeah.
really agrees,
That
real
would be
life
like West Virginia with
split
Pat
back.
White.
Yeah, exactly. Just to come on the field and get a little taste of having, you don't know who's gonna get the ball at that time. And you could even get fancy and have DJ at quarterback in a Wildcat. Have
Yeah.
Cam Harris, Lorenzo Wingard next to him running the triple option. That's just me. That's just me playing NCAA fantasy in my head. But uh,
I'll keep it simple to the fans though, man. Look, I've been vouching for Martell to start, but he's got a couple days to show if he's ready or not. Because if he doesn't show up the first 3 practices, he's not. It's Perry, and that's it. That's who they're riding with. Because there's no way you're just gonna prep with a QB 2 weeks as your starter. They're gonna go in. They're gonna try to see who the starter is from day one. So
listen,
Martell, he's on the clock when day one starts.
this has been Perry's job long before Tate Martell transferred in.
Oh,
And if Tate Martell, uh, Buddy Woodward, we are seeing your Paul no super chat for donations. Was Buddy Woodward's conversation, but we do see your text.
yeah.
Um, uh, what was I talking about?
Perry's job starting.
Oh yeah, this the Coach Perry's job. Tate Martell could bring all the hype. Tate Martell could bring all the Twitter warrior he can. And at the end of the day, dog, I trust Dan Enos. Whoever comes and wins this job, they earned it 110%. And it'll be who has made the connection with the players that the coaches aren't there, who has gone out and done 7-on-7 together, who have gone to the beach by themselves and done workouts as a unit, who has forced the wide receivers to meet up in the middle of practices and go with them and do run routes and get some connection, who has asked the offensive line to come and do cadences with them. So when they stand and man the huddle, they demand their respect. Those type of things, if Tate Martell's doing it and Perry isn't, Tate will be the guy. If Perry's
Yeah.
doing it and Tate isn't, Perry will be the guy. And the second half of all those off the field things is, can you make all the necessary throws? Can you make all the necessary audibles? Can you receive a play, keep it in your head? Because all the quarterbacks are going to the sideline after every play and then running to a 10-man huddle and telling them to play. Can you keep the play in your mind from over there all the way to the huddle? Can you get to the line of scrimmage and make sure this play works? And that nobody, if it needs to be an audible, you can get to the audible and relay the message to everyone, and everyone's on the same page. And then we look like we know how to play football at the quarterback position come August 24th. Those are the type of things that are going to have the winning job of the quarterback position. And I'm putting my money on Nicosi Perry.
There you go. And that's a wrap, guys. Thank you guys for all tuning in. Greatly appreciated. Thank you, Holsum One, for joining me. And talking some Canes football, man. It's always a pleasure. I'm talking football with you. And I don't know when Anton's coming back, but hopefully by next week he'll be joining us as well.
Yeah, he said something about coming back on the 19th, man. So he's taking his time, but
August, guys. Nah,
yeah,
okay.
of July. But yet again, man, just want to take a little time and shout out my channel before we hop off of here. Most of the people that are on here, they have already subbed to my channel and they know what I bring to the table. They know my channel. But just in case you do not, and you happen to come across Paul's channel before you get to the Holsum One's channel, it is the Holsum One. So HOLSUM and the number one Holloway, HOLLOWAY. I forgot how to spell my own name. And I've been doing some things just to get us by. Some top 10 offensive performances, top 10 defensive performances, and last night I uploaded the top 10 total performances with performances like Duke Johnson versus Boston College in 2012, Denzel Perryman versus Louisville in 2014. Also on that list, just those two on top of my head, Brad Kaya versus West Virginia in 2016. So go ahead and check that out. And then I also will be uploading my top five performances. And I'll only give you one top five performance in you with Braxton Berrios versus Florida State 2017. So go ahead and check that out, man, and like the videos. Of course, like this video. It helps Paul out a lot in the algorithm to get this thing going. We truly
Absolutely.
appreciate every single person that was here. Um, D. Rev Lee, Junior and the Big Dog, Buddy Williard, um, Anthony
Everyone.
Kid 24
Everyone.
7. Every single person, Mr. HD, Cardiac K, everybody. As if I didn't say your name, I apologize. But every single person that was in the channel, in the chat, we do appreciate you. We love you. And at the end of the day, it's always good to rep to you.
Hey, go Canes.